Hi, my name's Nick Thompson. I run a practice in Bath called Holistic Vet. I do homeopathy, acupuncture, nutrition and herbal medicine for horses, dogs and cats. And I've been asked to talk about relaxing herbs for dogs. In the old days, the 5th of November was 24 hours long. Nowadays, it lasts about a month, and it's like the Battle of Britain for the entire time. So one of the things that we use for managing dogs who have a nervousness with fireworks is herbs in various combinations and permutations. So I just thought I'd take you through some of my favourite relaxer herbs. Officially they're called neurotropic, but I think relaxer herbs is a pretty good description. First herb that I'd like to talk about is called Kava, Piper methysticum, and this comes from Polynesia and is derived from a plant that they use there in their traditional ceremonies. And what they do traditionally is that they, I think it's the women will sit around and chew the plant for hours and hours and spit into a bowl the product of the chewing. They'll then take that saliva and ferment it for days and days and days, and then the product of that crushing, salivation, slightly chewing and digesting process will then be drunk ceremonially and will induce a kind of a calm and relaxed state. Nowadays it's not produced like that, it's just a tincture using alcohol and water. So that's Kava. It's one of the pepper family. Next one of my favourites is called Piscidia. Piscidia erythrina, otherwise known as Jamaican dogwood. And the story that goes along with this relaxing herb is that they say that in Jamaica and the West Indies, the local guys will chop one of these trees into a piece of river that they've dammed either end, and the relaxing effect of the Jamaican dogwood on the fish within that bit of dammed river means that the fish will just swim around really lazily, which means they can just wander in after an hour or two. They wander in, pick up the fish and throw them out onto the side. Okay, so this has a profound effect on fish, but also on dogs. Okay, so it's a lovely herb to use, one that is not commonly heard of. Another one that's more commonly known, passiflora. This is the passion flower. These are the beautiful, multicoloured, perfectly symmetrical flowers that you'll see in many English gardens. Passiflora, passion flower. And is used to treat excited passions. If a dog is very excited, then this is another one of the herbs that I would reach for. We've got the old favourites, Skullcap and Valerian. Valerian is an interesting herb because to some people it smells foul. They call it a fecal note, and it's kind of pooey sort of note, and it's considered disgusting. Other people, like me, can smell another element of it, and it's really, really perfumed and very aromatic, beautiful. And so I think valerian is fantastic. Very useful for dogs, very useful indeed for cats, if anybody's got cats, because cats love it. It's a bit like catnip. You know how they go crazy for it. So I'll often put a bit of valerian in all my cat mixtures. So that's valerian, has a sedating effect. Dor West actually do a Skullcap and Valerian tablet, which is a very good way of getting it. And if you can't get hold of any of these ones, then you can always get in touch with Dor West, who can do the Skullcap and Valerian, which is very useful for epileptic dogs, and also if dogs are getting upset around the firework night. Skullcap, Scutellaria lateriflora, is often used in combination with the valerian. So that's skullcap and valerian. And the last of the herbs that I love to use in these situations is wild lettuce, Lactuca virosa. And I always think of Peter Rabbit. You remember Peter Rabbit, who fell asleep in a lettuce patch and then was found by Mr. McGregor? The lettuces nowadays, they're very big and watery and what have you, but if you think of those little bitter lettuces that this is derived from, it has a soporific effect and has been known throughout history as a relaxer, a very good remedy to use when there's anxiety, just wanting to calm down anxiety. So there you go. Those are my favourite herbs that I would be using over the next couple of months as part of my armoury to help dogs who have problems with pops and bangs and fireworks. When I'm dosing with the relaxer herbs, I will usually give the herbs an hour or two before I want that peak effect. So if it's November the 5th and you're thinking, crumbs, it's just getting dark, what am I going to do? So about 5 o'clock-ish, you'll give a dose of the herbs. The standard dose is about 5 mils per 10 kilos body weight, and that would be a dosing per day. The bigger the dose, I would tend to just maybe stretch that out a little bit. So for that 40 kilo shepherd, he'd be on 20 mils. I'd give him 10 mils, say about 5 o'clock-ish, and then again 10 mils, maybe about 8 o'clock-ish, something like that, so as to just separate things out a little bit. It's important that you do this in conjunction with your veterinary surgeon, that you discuss the use of herbs with your vet, and clarify with your vet if there's any reason why you shouldn't be using herbs, heart conditions, or any other neurological condition, for example, that might be complicating things. The other thing would be also, if you've got a very old dog who is not very steady on their legs and you give them some relaxing herbs and they become even more unsteady, then that's obviously counterproductive. 5 mils per 10 kilos body weight is kind of a standard dose that we would use as a guideline for herbs. So if you made a combination, you would use 5 mils of the combination. If you found that one herb worked particularly well for your dog, for example valerian, just you got some valerian tincture and you were able to give that, then you would give the 5 mils just in one go. So we've gone through half a dozen herbs. If you haven't got time to research, probably your best bet would be to go for skullcap and valerian from Dor West. That would be a good first marker. If you're looking at this some other time, and it's maybe January, and you've got a number of months until the fireworks start going, then you can work through these tinctures or combinations to find a combination that works for you. They're all very safe, within reason. You know, take enough of anything, it can do harm, but they're all chosen for being really very safe herbs. I think that body wraps are great. Thunder shirts are really, really useful. The Sounds Scary CD that is easily available is a good idea, because it means you can do some practice throughout the year for that dreadful month around October, November. They're really useful. Behavioural work is incredibly important, but I think the real value of herbs is that it allows the animal to engage brain before they immediately go into a panic type situation. It just means that you've just got half a second, which allows you to say, to engage, and if you can catch them before they become a quivering wreck, then that's really very useful. Obviously, we're talking about November the 5th and fireworks and things like this, but these herbs can be used in many situations where there's a specific period of anxiety travelling, for example. Skullcap and valerian is useful for dogs who are very fearful of travelling. You shouldn't use relaxer herbs as a management tool where other things are more appropriate. If you don't take your dog out for a walk enough, they don't get enough exercise, then it is massively inappropriate to treat their hyperactivity with relaxer herbs. That's the example that comes to mind. They need to be used appropriately and not as a chemical kosh, because that's obviously, you know, completely inappropriate use. If in doubt, contact a herbal vet. Look on the net and discuss it with them.